Jawohl. Hiya. This is Neale Howells. I'm going to continue with these podcasts. If it kills me, and it could well kill me. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I broke the equipment I was given. Of course I would break it. Why wouldn't I break it? You know, it's the way it goes sometimes. I'm just clumsy, I guess. In the background we got old Tina Turner and Ike, and that was posted on the internet a while ago, but I just liked it, so I just added that to my collection. Do you know what, right, when I started these things, I did know what I wanted to talk about, but I just don't know, maybe, I think from lockdown, we are now being told to stay in probably till the end of March, and, not stay in, you can go out for a walk, exercise and that, but I don't want to go down to the studio. I've locked the studio up and I just feel like, there's so many people down there not even bothering wearing masks, and because there's other units down there, and I just thought I'd keep out everybody's way for a while. And so what I done then, so I started working from home. So last year, the thing is, when we all went into lockdown last year for the first time, we had the weather. So this time it's been a learning curve. We've all been cold because it's quite stormy outside. There's been floods. Now we're on a sort of a really nice snowy, and we had snow as well a couple of weeks ago, which completely was brilliant. Gotta admit, we haven't seen snow like that for years. So that was nice. But anyway, it's warm. The weather's quite nice, but it's just really cold. Anyway, so this is our lockdown now, and hopefully that'll change. So what I was really going to say then is that during the first lockdown, I thought, because the weather was so nice, I would get into something called Sanyo type printing, and it was, I come across it while I was at a festival once called the Blue Lagoon. I hope this music isn't too loud. I just want it in the background, really. It's loud for me just to do thing. So I just, I seen it being used down in this festival. This guy was doing prints, and I said that it's just, if you don't know what a Sanyo type print is, it's basically blue and white, and it's just a gorgeous colour. It's very fine art colours. You do colours like that in a painting, and somebody would think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Well, there we are. That's the rules of art, isn't it? Rules of art which just follow and continue using them, and why not? Everybody else does. And they make loads of money out of it. Everybody think you're great, but true artists would rip the rules up and go down directions where they're uncomfortable with. A lot of people looking at it uncomfortable with. So let's stop moaning Howells and get back to the story, which was, so I asked him, this guy who was doing Sanyo type printing, and I said, that's good, isn't it? How'd you do that? And he kept it to himself like a secret. He said, I can't tell you. I said, what do you mean you can't tell me? He said, go on, tell me what are you doing, how do you get it? Like, oh, no. And he's really sort of possessive of it. So it always bothered me, and I'm sure you can, go on the internet and see exactly what it is. But so eventually, when we had this weather, it was always in the back of my mind to do this. So got the chemicals on the internet, got the paper from what we had lying around, and we really started doing. It's very, you learn as you go along with this stuff. Paper comes into it, how much long sun you give to it, how much of it you actually paint on. So the principle of it is you paint on your paper, you use it, leave it dry, and then you expose it to the sun. You expose it to the sun for as long as you want, depending on what you like about the strength of the image. Then you just wash it under ordinary tap water. and you can play around with it apparently with other things, but I just found tap. So I spent my summer lockdown days learning about that, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd heard that the Arts Council were doing some coronavirus grants or something, so I thought that'd be quite good to apply for that, using this technique and saying now maybe bringing it into the studio and manipulating it like that. Anyway, I thought it was a good idea, and anyway, I didn't get anywhere with that, with the grant anyway, but I still thought it was a good idea, and so I'm still pursuing it. So basically, I am now halfway through it. I made the dark room, made these portable UV lighting boxes and stuff, so I can now take it into the studio and do Sanyo type indoors. So that's really what I've been up to over Christmas during the cold months and that. Down in the garden, down in the studio at the end of the garden, set it up down there, and then I brought it back in because it was really cold in there. But if you go on my website or you go on Facebook, you should see examples of it. And I was really right, okay, so let's face it, right, there was two things that was going on then. What do you actually print? Now, I decided that wouldn't it be fun to use my negatives and that, because people had used negatives in the years, so I thought I'd start off with that. And then from that, then using those negatives, I thought, let's make some of my own negatives. So that then took me to a different area where I've started making my own negatives from things I got around the house. So collages, and it's just escalated from there really. It's quite good, I'm really happy. Yeah, I'm really happy with myself. But using just basic equipment, I've managed to get some really interesting imagery, and I suppose that's the fun of lockdown. It's just using what you've got, you can get at, not go into the shops, or if you don't have to, or buy in things that you might need. And I've just enjoyed that part of lockdown, just being, using what we have. Using up what we have. I mean, in the studio, I haven't got new wood in, so I'm just painting over all of older paintings, sort of regenerating them, giving them a boost, and that's turning out really well. Paintings which I thought was so great, could really easily compete on the international stage, but I ended up painting over them. And sometimes you do that when you're an artist, you do paint over your old work. Many reasons why. One reason is you haven't got enough. You need to work and you haven't got any spare stuff, so you look at a picture which is, well, I mean, some of the times when I used to think about exhibiting and I've got to say we've done okay, but very early, if I find that a painting has come back to the studio, I usually think, well, what's happened there then? And over the years I've learned there's a few things that could have happened. You need, for a painting to, when you do a painting, I'm beginning to believe now there is somebody out there for that work. And it's just getting them to meet. It's as simple as that. You can do pieces of work and it just, when the right person comes along and sees it, they have a connection with it. And I'm only saying this because, this is the evidence of exhibiting over the years that I've come across. So if a piece of work comes back to the studio, I always assume that it hasn't met the right person. My second reason sometimes is that it wasn't good enough. And if I think that work, when I look at it after a while, I think, yeah, it wasn't good enough. Those are the ones I choose to draw, repaint over and that. I will keep ones which I think were good enough, but never met the right person to the side, and I've got a few of them. and I wouldn't want to paint over them. I think they've finished already. But a lot of the stuff I'm working on now, it's really good to sort of just go back over it and that. I had an email the other day, and it was off somebody who wanted to know if they could use other people's tags in their... They were doing artwork, and they were going to use some of the graffiti art in it, and they wanted to know if it was okay to use other people's tags in their work. Well, it was basically describing what I had done. I was thinking, hang on, who's this coming to get me? Somebody's not going to do saying, why are you taking all my ideas and putting them in your pictures? But I mean, to a certain extent, if your picture, what I said, a reply said, as long you're not coming to get me out, if it's out in a public area, it's fair game. You can't ask for copyright in the public area. I don't think, in my personal opinion, it doesn't, once it's out there, no matter whose work it is. I mean, go and ask. I mean, how many times have we seen somebody do an Elvis picture or a Marilyn Monroe? I'm not saying I haven't done those things, but the people who own them images must be peed off that they normally don't get no credit for taking the picture or anything, right? So copyright is a very interesting thing. And I mean, who was in the paper the other day? I think it was Banksy. Some card firm had used Banksy's imagery on their calendars or cards or something, and Banksy had tried to take them to court or something to get them to stop using it. Well, he couldn't. He couldn't do it because those images that came from a public arena, and they weren't copyrighted. So, anyway, it's a very interesting area, and all I said is something which I might have mentioned in my old podcasts, is that if you can, find out who the artist is you're ripping, you're using, and credit them. And I think most artists would be quite happy with that if their work is credited within other people's artwork. I try and do it as much as I can, but I mean, well, I used to, not so much now. I mean, you go to France, you see all this stuff on the wall. What am I supposed to do? Hey, whose is that? Not only is it's French. I didn't even speak French, and I'm really off to a bad start there. If anybody came knocking on my door, I'll tell them to piss off anyway. So, but just leave me your name, and I'll just add it, and I'll just put your name actually into the painting, and with a little arrow saying, yeah, that's yours. But the thing, I just take what I can get and just usually paint over it. It's like a lot of this cyanotype gets put into the pictures as well these days. Just before lockdown, I was trying to do that, and I thought I'd done it quite successfully in one. So anyway, right, so I don't know what I was talking about then, really, rather than probably the date. Right, might be going to auction. With all these prints I thought, well, let's try and sell a few. Trouble is with auction, it's really, you don't know who's in the room. Some of your work, and we done really well with some of our work, and then on others, I remember we put a set of plates in and ceramics and stuff. I don't think that done particularly well. So somebody might have had a bargain, as you could say. And I think, as an artist, you take your chance when you go to auction. It's a fun thing as well. So why shouldn't anybody, if you bother to turn up and look through the work, you can pick up a bargain, so why not? So I think as an artist, once it goes into auction, you've got to take what you get. And it might not be good, but then it might be good. You don't hear them complaining when it is good, only when it's not. And there's plenty written and lots of documentaries about artists at auction and how the dealers have buffed them up over the years and to keep the prices up, because that's how the art market, a lot of it does work. God forbid that some of these artworks that you've paid hundreds of millions of pounds for suddenly don't fetch hundreds of millions of pounds anymore. So, but that's why I've always been really exciting for me. It's got so many different areas. So let me have a think now. What can I talk about. Usually when I come on these things, it's usually because I've got something to say. Today, I just want to do one just to sort of, because I just wanted to get one out there, make sure I keep it going. Right, artwork wise, yep. Not sure. I think what it is, right? I think I'm getting bored. I'm really getting bored a bit. I'm getting a little bit bored of Sanotype, using that in the way I've been using it indoors. I just want to get back into the studio to use it on a big piece of work and buy some more wood, but I can't do that at the moment. So I'm looking around for other things to do. Yeah, I think one of some of the stuff I try to use is my phone, so I try to be creative with that. So I'm doing a lot of time lapse and stuff, and I try and upload it to YouTube. So if you're interested in seeing that, or put it on my Instagram account, you can see some of that. I just love time lapse in the sky. Maybe I should do time lapse in the garden as well. Just try to vary it a bit. But skyscapes for me was how I got into art in the first place, you know. I mean, when I started, I told you I fell into art really by accident. Did I ever do that story with you? Okay, I'll do that story then. I'd been working, when I left school, 16, I ended up working. Well, what they call it work. If you think of, I suppose you've all heard of the YBS lot, have you? The Young British Artists. Well, I was in a similar sort of group. Mine, it was called the YTS, and we were the Youth Opportunities Programme. Basically, it's for people on the dole, right? And so they'd scoop it. They'd offer you a job and say, "Please take this job, or you're going to get nothing." And so I had a couple. My first job was in the surveyor's office, and the second one was the one my first one was in an engineer's drawing office, and that's the one I really enjoyed. It was like engineering drawing, perfect for me. That's what I was good at school. So I went to work in an engineer, a draftsman's office. So they were fabricating, and obviously perfect. It was really interesting. You knew some characters in there. So when you're 16, you see some right boots. The office boys were, the drawing boys were like really clean cut and that. Then you'd have the boys with the engineer who actually make the stuff. And they used to make a lot of stuff for BP Landarcy, which was the local refinery. So it'd be nuts, bolts, bits of stuff which you couldn't even describe anyway. But my main ambition was to get on the drawing board, and so I just bided my time before they allowed me actually to do that. But when I think about some of they had this printing machine there that could print massive plans, and I was intrigued by that. And I look at it now to this day, the plans. I mean, have you ever heard of the term blueprints? Well, that comes from, I think, how the plans were actually printed. They were printed blue. And I'm thinking this Sanotype might have been used in that process, because if you put some Sanotype paper into something, expose it to UV lighting, and it comes out, you've got a blueprint. Anyway, they probably don't do that anymore. It's called computers now. So this is when the Argentines invaded. Falklands was in the newspapers every day. I know everything about a Harrier jump jet. I was reading about it every day. I mean, missiles can carry, how far it can go on fuel, how many pilots. Anyway, you know what it's like when at the time it was just like Falklands over everything. So we're talking about 1981, I think it was. 1981, I would have worked there, 1981, 2-ish. So that was for 6 months, and I gotta admit, I really enjoyed it. But what happened then was a job did come up. So I'd been there for 6 months, and I thought, here we go. I'm first one in. And I had the nod as well from my boss, John Williams. And then he broke the news to saying, look, that job, they give it to the boss's son. So, hey, the boss's son used to come to work in a open top saloon car, Mercedes, amazing car. I said, what can you do? So that was my first introduction to the workplace. Doesn't matter how good you think you are at something, it doesn't matter in the end, it's who you know. And so that led me on to leaving that place, then moving on to somewhere called a surveyor's office. Again, I enjoyed it for moments, but it was boring. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. And again, they promise you everything, people promise you, oh, you'll have a job after college. Nah, they never come through on their promises. So, and then from that, then I actually done some labouring, and that was fun. And then another scheme where we were stuck up a mountain somewhere making things, a lot of boring stuff going on, but again, fun. It was a lot of fun, and it was good wages on that scheme. But it was during that scheme that I decided I can't do this for the rest of my life. It's going nowhere really, innit? And so I decided to go back to college, and it was at the age. So when that scheme finished, I went down to Neath Tech, and I said I'd like to do this O-level, that O-level, sort of everything I didn't really do in school. And I turned around and said, look, you can't do any of those. I said, why not? I said, why? He said, well, you've never done them before. I said, well, if I had done them before, I wouldn't want to do